Hello, guys. Today's a special topic I have. A lot of you guys might not know, but I am engaged to a Filipina, and throughout the time or throughout this period of engagement, I have learned so much things and so many things that I would like to share to the public because the Philippines, it's a great place to come. It's a great place to live, but a lot of people don't know things, and we have a very high increment or a very high number of foreigners, not only from the United States, but from many places that come here, and they think, well, this is a great place to live, and it is a great place to live, and it is a great place to find a girlfriend and all of this. So let's say, for example, that your plan is to come here to the Philippines to get to know someone, some lovely ladies, and hang out and you're obviously going to choose the best one to be your wife. Well, that sounds fantastic. However, there are a few things to know ahead of time so doesn't your experience does not get snagged on legal issues along the way. And I'm telling you by experience. But the good news is that if you are prepared here in the Philippines, you will be fine. Before we get into deeper waters, just hear this at, at the outset of things. Take time, really, really, and this is very important, guys. Take the time to know your prospective Filipina fiance. I recommend at least 6 months minimum. Not only get to know her as a person, but her marital status as well. Because her marital status could be very important. As you would soon find out, there can be a few hurdles to cross at times. I have dealt with so much hurdles in the past, and when you love someone, I believe you do whatever it takes to marry the woman you love. But if you do things you're up to it, then find a Filipina who has never been married before and that will simplify everything. In either scenario, I wish you the best. One more thing, the information that I'm sharing to you guys here in this podcast is fully referenced, and you can guys it's referenceable. So use the links I will provide to you on down below to check the facts on your own. Okay? I am in any way an attorney in the Philippines or providing anyone with the most current legal statuses in place. The information here is for educational purposes only, and only persons should consult an immigration attorney before making an important decisions or actions. That's a great thing. But like I said, you may be coming from the US or from Australia, from Canada, from the UK, or from other areas. So I will simply refer to you as native homeland as your home country. Your home country could be, like I said, it could be the United States, it could be Australia, it could be Canada, it could be the UK, it could be many places. Even though your plans may be to make the Philippines your new home, you still have a home country. And if you plan to take a few years before getting married, which is my advice, by the way, one thing you will need to bring with you are your divorce papers if you have been married somewhere else. Okay? Specifically, bring the judgment of dissolution. The final deciding document which declares you are legally divorced if you have been previously married in your home country. It is very common for men to arrive here, start making plans to marry, and only then find out from the local Philippine government that you must prove you are divorced from any previous marriages, irregardless of where those marriages took place. So, If you never did get legally divorced in your home country, but plans on remarrying in the Philippines, that is one loose end you will never or you will need to tie up before boarding a plane here. If you were previously married but are now widowed, bring with you a copy, preferably bring the original, of the certificate of death, as well as any documents from the courthouse on your marriage, showing and proving to them that that the person is deceased and is actually the same person you were previously married to. Tax records and social security information might be good to have as well in case you are being questioned, because it could happen, guys. One thing you will need to do here in the Philippines when you are ready to get married is file for a certificate of legal capacity to contract marriage. And I'm going to put a link below for more exact info on this process. The filing fee is currently about $50. This is how you will present the divorce decree and the certificate of death in order to prove you are legally free to contract marriage. Marriage here is seen as a legal contract between two people, similar to the way non-default states in the US handle divorce cases. Once you have this, it is up to you whether you and your Filipina bride will officiate the wedding via a priest, at a church, or at a government office via a judge or a judge appointee. Now, let's get things cleared, guys. In the Philippines, there is no divorce. One thing to keep in mind is that you cannot get a divorce here in the Philippines. There's not even a divorce court to hear your case. The divorce or dissolution process is not legally recognized here. What they do have here is what they call an annulment process. But good luck qualifying for that. To get an illegal annulment, you must pass a very strict test under which you must prove such a situation as, and you and your Filipina wife are closely related, marriage by fraud, persistent non-consummation. One of you was legally insane at the time of marriage, and the marriage was committed under duress. Even then, if you had been married for more than a year, it is considered consensual marriage. There are other circumstances for annulment, and they are just as strict or weird. For a full list as well as other good info, I'm going to go ahead and you can click on the link that I'm going to put on the description of this podcast. Now, off the books, guys. Some people do get annulments under the table with bribes to the right people. But if you are a foreigner, the chances are you don't know the right people, and you will get ripped off by scammers who promise for a couple of $1,000s and they can make it happen. But the annulment process passes through several hands, and it's not everybody is in the same page. You could pay one guy, but he's going to pass it on, and the other guy's going to pass it on. And your bride money and chances of getting that annulment go right down the drain. So don't do it, guys. Don't do that. Okay? But there is a solution. If you are a foreigner, come and marry a Filipina, and then, for whatever reason, you later decide that you want to get a divorce or an annulment, there is a legal way of doing that. You will have to return to your home country and file for a divorce there. I cannot speak for the other countries, although I would be surprised if they were not so different about the following. In order to file divorce on your Filipina wife from your home country, you will need to have her legally served with the subpoena of dissolution of marriage. And before you can even file, you have to reestablish your residency in the home country that you are from for perhaps about 6 months before. That's the law in the United States. The US says it's 6 months. If she is dead set on staying married to you, for let's say for example, Social Security benefits, she may delay the divorce by making herself difficult to find and serve. Or she may do a response in which she disputes jurisdiction or claims hardship in order to be able to attend the divorce proceedings in the United States and or due to travel expenses. Bottom line, it could really drag out, so make sure you really want to get married before you do it. Most women here are wonderful, but there are a few bad apples in the bunch. My 2 cents in that is that if you take time and get to know your fiance for at least a year, you will be in a much better position to make this marriage decision than if you were to rush it in on a whim after a 2-month romance. Just throwing out there. Okay. What if I already married a Filipina and want to divorce her so I can marry a different Filipina? Does the no divorce issue leave her married to me while I'm married to my second wife? That's a great question that a lot of people have. Believe it or not, up until 2005, this had been the catch. 22 scenario. For many Filipino women, let's say Joe arrives in the year 2000 and marries Grace. It's just an example, guys. Grace is a Filipina. 2 years later, Joe goes back home and gets a legal divorce on Grace. He is now free to remarry. So Joe returns to the Philippines to find that the Filipino courts still consider her married to him. But he is no longer married to her. He marries a second Filipina in 2003 and is now married to one woman, although 2 women are married to him in return. This kept the first Filipina wife from being able to meet and marry Bob after her husband Joe divorced her, because the Filipino government didn't acknowledge her as divorced. As you can imagine, this caused a lot of hardship and headaches for many Filipinas. Fortunately, in 2005, under President Aquino, his executive order modified and then recent revision of the family code to include an amendment which giving the Filipino citizens the right to remain when a legal divorce has been recognized by the home country of the foreign spouse. This act only authorized it just 7 years ago and finally set free Filipino women to remarry. Imagine meeting the woman of your dreams only to find out that she's still legally married with no ability to divorce. That is awful. Some Filipinas are still unaware of the change in the law and under the impression they cannot remarry due to previous marriages to a foreigner. But as long as the previous foreigner has divorced them legally in their home country, it now applies to them as well. Again, I'm going to go ahead and put in a link on the description of the video so you can guys be able to see what I'm talking to you guys about. What if the woman I want to marry is separated from her Filipino or foreign husband? Well, that's a good question. Well, this is where I tell you that the life is not always fair. But again, there is a possibility, a way around it. If you meet a woman who is separated, and there are a lot of Filipinas in this situation whose husbands have literally abandoned them to shack up with a mistress or another island, and she cannot do it on her own, and she cannot get a divorce. If she is married to a Filipino, she cannot divorce him because there is no divorce process here. She will not be legally able to remarry until the spouse passes away. If she can get a work visa or other visa to your home country, it is possible to live together. But if your home country recognizes her Filipino marriage as still valid, which most of them do, then getting remarried in your home country would not be legally possible either. If she is married to a foreigner, the foreigner must take the action to divorce her in his home country. Once he has divorced her, she is free to remarry in the Philippines. But here is a suggestion which may be different from each country, but I believe is an avenue worth pursuing it. First, if the Filipina has either her if the Filipina has either her permanent residency or citizenship in the foreigner's husband's home country, she can move there and she can file for a divorce against her husband in his home country. If she has neither of these statuses, then I would speak with an immigration attorney in your home country for another remedy so that you can possibly marry outside the Philippines. This is where things get sticky. Technically, you may find a way or via this avenue to become married and be with your bride in your home country. That is a very unlikely scenario. But if your plans are to live as a married couple in the Philippines, that is where things get very complicated. The best person to help you navigate those waters again would be an immigration attorney in your own home country. Now, somebody sent me a question here and they said, you know what, Juan? What if my Filipina is separated and we just decided to shack up as common law and leave it at that? This question was asked by Mario Dimes. I think that's the way you say his last name. And now this is where it gets really twisted, Mario. So let's say, you Mario, you fall in love with Mariana, which is a Filipina. But Mariana's husband abandoned her to live the single life and the party and everything on the other side of town. Okay? But he's living alone. Now you decide to move with Mariana into his Philippine home to just live with and love her as his wife without hassling the paperwork and all that stuff. Well, Mariana is now a target to be jailed by her first husband, just out of spite for committing adultery. Adultery in the Philippines is still very active. And not only is it illegal for you to have sexual intercourse with another man's paper wife, but it will be counted as even more aggravated that you live with her in such a way that it was flagrant and indecent to the public at large. Yes, I'm not joking. Language like this exists on the books here in the Philippines, and it can get you as well as your separated Filipina into a whole bunch of trouble, guys. From the offended other spouse, he can really kick your butt like you not believe it. Especially if he takes his place by a cohabitation in her home, legally defined as paramour in the conjugal dwelling. The penalty for her can be a maximum of 6 years in prison. The Philippine government says, hey, if you commit adultery, you can go up to 6 years in prison in a Filipino jail, and you don't want to do that. Now, again, there is some good news. Only recently, in April of 2012, I think it was, that the Philippines Congress convened on the issue of clarifying the law regarding adultery. No, they did not lessen the punishment or remove the adultery laws. What they made them is more specific and harsh. That's the bad news. The better news is that now, and this is still unclear if Congress incorporated the following changes to the law or not, no data has been put in at this point of time. The accused, which is the defendant, spouse, can counter and have the charges dropped from the accusing, which is the prosecuting spouse, if the accusing spouse either A, has been committed the same infidelity themselves, or B, has abandoned the home physically and financially for more than 1 year. If either of those apply, the accusing spouse cannot press charges. Another thing, only the spouse can file the charges. No third party can. No neighbors, friends, or families, brothers, sisters, none of that. None of them can file adultery charges. Only the spouse can. Only the offended spouse can do that. Again, it is still unclear if these conditions were incorporated into the current changes in the law this year or not. So hopefully, um, I will let you know in the future. Where there is a will, there's always when there's a will, there's a way. I am both an optimistic and a romantic. I choose to believe that if two people love each other, then they can somehow, some way find a way to legally be together eventually. It might take some waiting time, it might take some legal actions, it might take some money, but I believe that there's a way if a person gets the right counsels, the right advice, preferably from an attorney if needed. In the US, one inexpensive way to get unlimited consultation with an attorney is via prepaid method. For example, I'm going to give you the info again here on the links below, guys. Well, I hope this information really can help you guys decide and really think about doing things. The Philippines is a great place. Women are beautiful. Women are humble. It's a great place to meet somebody, great place to retire. And I wish you all the best in the search for the love and romance here in the Philippines. As I've mentioned so many times before and on my vlogs, this is truly a cultural difference from Western thinking that encourages, in my opinion, Filipino women to enter into marriage with a far greater commitment. Okay, they are in it. Most are very loving, they're very humble, faithful, and hold to a moral character greater than what most of us foreigners, men, are accustomed to back in our home countries. And they can make a wonderful life choosing the right one as your wife. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll be back soon. Thank you.